Hey guys, Soberoni of GNA Reviews here with another special servant spotlight featuring Hector. As always, we're going to be examining his skills and his stats, going over pointers on how to utilize him effectively, and an overall grade comparing him to how he stacks up against the other 3-star servants. This, along with Uriel and David spotlights, make for our first ever dedicated servant spotlights for 3 stars, so please check out those other 2 spotlights. You can find them up on the channel right now, and they are linked in the video description below. But without further ado, let's move on to Hector's stats. When it comes to HP, Hector has the highest HP among all Lancers and one of the highest HP stats among all 3 stars at 10,200. Unfortunately, his attack suffers for this. His 6,928 attack is average for a 3-star and puts him second from the bottom among the 3-star Lancers. For his skills, he has Tactics rank C+, which increases Noble Phantasm strength between 8.5% to 17% for all allies for 1 turn. His next skill is Proof of Friendship rank C, which has between a 60 to 80% chance of inflicting stun and a 60 to 80% chance of decreasing your opponent's Noble Phantasm charge by 1, both of these depending on level. And his final skill is Disengage rank B, which removes all debuffs and restores his HP between 800 to 2000 depending on level. Finally, his class skills are Magical Resistance rank B, which increases debuff resist by 17.5%, and Riding rank B, which increases his quick card effectiveness by 8%. Moving on to his deck and Noble Phantasm, he has a Quick Arts Buster deck with a Buster Noble Phantasm. His Noble Phantasm is Durandana, which deals heavy damage to all enemies that ignores defense between 300 and 500%, and it decreases their defense for 3 turns between 20 to 40% depending on overcharge. And that is further strengthened through an Interlude, which increases the damage modifier to between 400 to 600% depending on level. So high HP and average attack are not bad stats to have, and a defense ignoring Buster Noble Phantasm is strong. But the most important thing about a servant is his or her skills, and that is the one area where Hector is severely lacking. Let's start off with the positives. He has a Buster Noble Phantasm and 2 Buster cards, so he can Buster Brave Chain for significantly extra damage. Also, Tactics is a decent skill, as is Disengage. Anything that buffs everyone's Noble Phantasm damage is good, and debuff removal is absolutely necessary in the late game. However, Tactics only lasts a single turn, and it's nowhere near as good as Charisma. And debuff removal is only good when it's targetable, so you can use it on an ally, or if you are a powerhouse damage dealer that can't afford to be slowed down by debuffs, which Hector is not, so it's rather pointless on him. But at least those 2 skills can do things. Proof of Friendship is just flat out useless. A medium chance to stun and decrease Noble Phantasm charge is just another way of saying there's a chance that this skill will do absolutely nothing. It has no guaranteed effect on it, and a medium chance is actually quite low when you factor in enemy debuff resist. At least other servants with stuns have a high chance of inflicting it, and those who have skills like Vampirism will at least charge their Noble Phantasm gauge if they miss the decreased enemy Noble Phantasm effect. Simply put, his skills have no synergy. Proof of Friendship is a skill that belongs on the support servant, but it is completely useless anyway. Tactics is a good skill, but the buff is relatively small and only lasts a turn, and he has no other buffs in his kit. And Disengage just doesn't work at all on a non-support or non-heavy damage dealer. If you have to max his skills, go with Tactics first, because that's pretty much his only decent skill, followed by Disengage, and then avoid Proof of Friendship at all costs. It just isn't worth it. It really feels like Hector has no identity. His skills seem completely random, they don't synergize, and don't fit his playstyle at all. It's almost as if the developers just pulled 3 random skills out of a hat. By far, Hector's strongest quality is his defense-piercing Noble Phantasm, so it would really benefit him to have skills that charge his Noble Phantasm, or apply Invincibility Pierce, or just remove Proof of Friendship for a Buster buff, so that he can actually deal some decent damage. Because despite having a Buster Brave Chain and Tactics, his Noble Phantasm is still weak due to it being AoE, so another buff in his skill kit is very much needed. It's hard to find anything that Hector brings to the table other than just tactics and a defense-piercing Noble Phantasm. When it comes to what teams work best with him, I really think his only use is as a wave clearer for daily missions. To that effect, you might want to pair him with like Hans, Waver, even David, since they can buff him and keep him alive. Likewise, you can use him as a very weak buffer for strong non-berserker servants like Gil and Saber Alter to further boost their damage with tactics. And that's only if you don't have any other damage buffer in the game. As again, tactics is decent, it's just not Waver. His Bondcraft Essence Hero's Armament is actually pretty decent and synergizes with tactics because it increases the Noble Phantasm strength of all allies by 20%. So if you do manage to get it, then I just recommend using that on him and keeping him as just a designated Noble Phantasm buffer. Otherwise, Limited Zero and Heaven's Feel and their lower rarity counterparts can help him just deal a little bit more damage on his Noble Phantasm, but it is really underwhelming. Overall, compared to the other incredible Okeanos 3-star servants that we're getting like David and Uriel, Hector is a significant step down. Really, one of the biggest problems with the 3-star servants is this giant power gap between them. They're either broken and overpowered like Ku and Ushi and Uriel, or they are average and not worth a second look. And that is exactly what Hector is. It isn't that he is the worst servant out there, he just offers nothing to the team. Everything he can do, someone can do better, at the 3-star or lower level. He feels just like filler. He's a filler servant that exists to be used only if you have no other Lancer. He doesn't fill any particular niche, even wave clearing is done better by Romulus, and you really shouldn't build a team around him. At best, if you have his Craft Essence, he's a decent Noble Phantasm buffer to be used alongside stronger offensive servants, and if you have no other Lancer, no Ku, no Romulus or Leonidas, he'll work decently to fill the Lancer role and farm the daily missions until you do get a better Lancer. Therefore, he gets a C-. There are actually worse 3-stars out there, but he's not a shining example of anything either. And those are my thoughts on Hector. I know he is actually a fairly popular character in the fandom, and he has some admirers, so just remember, this isn't a judgment on his character or his strength in the lore, this is solely based on his gameplay value. But feel free to agree with me or disagree with me in the comments below. Also, if you haven't already, please check out the spotlights for the other 2 3-star servants releasing with Okeanos, Uriel, and David. Links to that will be in the video description below. On Tuesday, I'll be putting up spotlights for the 2 new 4-star servants, and on release day, Drake's spotlight will be going up as well, so look forward to all of that. And don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing if you really enjoyed the video. Alright guys, that's all I gotta say, so I'll see you in the next spotlight. So we're on the out. Later.